So ladies and gentlemen, finally, we are getting the Fortnite Season 2 live event. It'll be taking place at 2:05 Eastern or whatever time zone you're in. Here's the times. And I will actually be streaming starting 1 hour in advance before the stream. So if you guys want to check it out with me, please catch that. Now, as a sort of final primer video for the event and Season 3 of Fortnite, what I wanted to do today is just look at 10 things you should really know before going into this event. The Fortnite Chapter 2 storyline has been complicated, but a lot more focused, and so there's definitely some things you need to know. And lastly, before we do get into it, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. 3 million subs by the end of August. We're getting close, guys. Anyways, though, let's do this. So coming in at our number 10 spot, we need to talk about the Fortnite Jonesy trailer. So let's jump back to June 21st of 2019. We're looking at almost a year ago. There was a random animation dropped from Epic. You guys have probably seen this. It's Jonesy sitting on an island, and it just made absolutely no sense. It was completely out of context. And well, it seems like we've finally been given some context to this. And because this actually seems to be a hint at what the Fortnite Season 3 map is going to be. But the thing that is so absolutely peculiar is on the box, it says 11/06. Which is going to just so happen be the date of Fortnite Season 3 launch. Now, this has got to be a coincidence, right? Like, with all the delays that Epic has had, there is no way that this could have happened. I literally just don't understand what the odds of that are, though. I mean, maybe they were predicting June 11th might be our average rough time, and when they were only 1 week away from it, they were like, you know what, screw it, let's push it. But I don't know. Either way, though, it's absolutely mind-blowing, especially that this island is giving us a bit of a sneak peek of what is to come in Season 3. Except Epic has pushed the event to June 15th now, and the season will be starting June 17th. Now moving on to our number 9 spot, this is a bit of a leak inbound. So only further proving the water theme, as so many people have been speculating for this upcoming season. The banner for Season 3 has actually been data mined. And as you can believe it, not only is there water in the background, but also a very particularly interesting island. I mean, that's got to be the same island that Jonesy was on. So not only is this pretty much confirming at this point that we are going to be getting a water season for Season 3, but it's seeming like maybe there's going to be a tropical element involved. It's very possible that these islands are going to be locations around the map. I also wouldn't be surprised to see that version of Jonesy as a skin. I mean, who knows? Maybe even that flare gun is going to make it into the game. Come to think of it, that would actually be a really cool weapon. Maybe it would work like a flintlock pistol where it only has 1 shot. It lands for, say, like 50, but every second does 5 damage or something like that continually because it's stuck to you, burning you. Regardless, though, this banner is very telling and just more confirmation of what is to come in the future. But moving on to our number 8 spot, another one of the very obvious things that we should be expecting is the swimming feature. So for those of you that caught the Travis Scott event, there was actually a period where players were swimming in the water. Not just swimming above the water and diving through it, but literally underwater. And a lot of code leaks have confirmed that this is going to be a gameplay feature. So something you guys should really just kind of be prepared for is the underwater factor of this next season. It's definitely something that's coming, and to what extent it's hard to say, but we should get ready for it. And speaking of things to get ready for, let's move on to number 7 and talk about No Sweat Insurance. So it's no secret that No Sweat Insurance has actually returned to the Chapter 2 Fortnite map. And instead of locating at Tilted Towers this time, it is actually at Lazy Lake, which is essentially the closest thing we actually have to Tilted. Now, one of the really interesting things about No Sweat is that there's actually signs all around the map. There are signs at Pleasant Park, Holly Hedges, Sweaty Sands, Lazy Lake, and Frenzy Farm. And so this actually implies that these locations are probably going to be safe. With the upcoming flood or whatever we can expect to happen, there's going to be a lot of locations getting submerged, but maybe that means that these places will eventually be saved. So if any of these locations happen to be one of your favorites, you can be happy. However, there are a lot of uninsured locations. Salty Springs, Dirty Docks, Craggy Cliffs, Weeping, Misty, Steamy, and all spy bases are not looking safe. Not even Risky Reels has insurance. So it seems very likely that these places are certainly on the chopping block for next season. And to me, that actually makes sense. I feel like a lot of the locations that don't have insurance are the less loved ones by the community. And this would be such an easy way to get rid of some. I mean, it obviously makes sense. Like, oh, Sweaty and Lazy Lake are insured. Of course, everybody loves those places. They want to keep Pleasant Park because it's an OG spot. Salty isn't so good anymore, you know? So I think it does make sense. But yeah, Salty Springs, Dirty Docks, Craggy Cliff, Weeping, Misty, Steamy. If any of those locations are places you like, you might want to get a few more drops in before they're gone forever. But speaking of one location that is extremely important, this is going to be the agency. Now, this is another pretty big leak, so spoilers ahead, but the agency, it's going to get destroyed. Leaks have actually confirmed a model of the agency building destroyed. Now, this would actually line up with the Storm the Agency event that we just had. I mean, it's kind of hard to speculate exactly what happened here and the exact ramifications of this moving forward, but what we know for sure is that the agency is either going to be destroyed during the event or sometime after it, maybe the start of season 3. There's so much to think about there, and we'll get back to it in a second, but the agency is a very important spot. Now, moving on to number 5, we gotta talk about the 7. So since the launch of Chapter 2, the 7 have been hiding in the background. As we know, the 7 are alternate timeline versions of the Visitor, and they helped to contain the 0-point sphere and then gave it to Ego. So Ego actually has the 0-point sphere contained somewhere, but it's for sure certain that the 7 are still working in the background. Perhaps like Organization X, maybe? We're gonna have a full video explaining the storyline once we get a little bit more information sometime right after season 3 drops, but yeah. I'm very curious to see where the 7 are going, if they're going to make a return, if maybe we're going to get another member revealed. It's hard to say. But one character that we are for sure going to be getting more information on is the Engineer. So for those of you who don't know, there is a photo of a girl in Midas's room who is deemed the Engineer. We don't know if she's Midas's sister, girlfriend, or friend, or just maybe someone who works for him. No idea who she is, but it's been confirmed that she is the one that actually helps to construct the Doomsday device. This is the giant portal that's going to probably be going off in just a few days. What it's going to do, it's hard to say. My personal running theory right now is that it's going to basically take control of the weather to create a giant flood, and that's how we're going to get where we're at. Why? How? That's hard to say. But I think moving forward, the Engineer is going to take a huge role in the future of the map. I mean, Epic's pretty good about progressing their storyline, but it's very often that they allow their old characters to just fall off, and maybe Midas is going to die or something like that, and the Engineer is going to kind of fill his spot. I mean, it's hard to imagine that, seeing how much of a powerful character Midas is, but who knows? Another important character that we need to remember is Oro. So there are so many theories around this guy, and we talked about him last week, where maybe he's Midas, maybe he's a representation of Midas, maybe he's a god and Midas has control over him and he's taken his power. Who knows? What we do know for sure is that Midas actually took Oro's scepter and imprisoned him at the Shark. And all was going well until the Travis Scott event where Oro escaped. Oro's set is called Midas's Revenge. That's interesting. Maybe Oro is going to stop Midas. Very, very possible. But yeah, certainly a character we gotta look out for, and it's important to know his backstory. Now let's move on to number 2. So we obviously have a huge event on the way. And I think if there's one thing you really need to know moving into this, it's just the overall landscape and how everything works. I think a lot of people have this confused, so let me explain the varying agencies and groups. In season 1, there was a lot of working behind the scenes and shadows and sort of speculation, but things are very much more in our face this season, so it's a lot more clear cut. So there's 2 groups, Ego and Alter. The Ghost is a sort of subgroup of Ego. It'd be like you have the American military, that's Ego, and then like the Navy SEALs or something is Ghost. And then you have Alter, which is a not so good organization, and they have a similar sort of special forces group known as Shadow. But then there's this really confusing thing called the agency, and no one is for sure 100% on what the agency exactly is. Some people speculate that it's a training program, but I think it's a little bit more obvious and meaningful than that. I'm pretty sure what the agency is Midas's own group. Midas basically formed his own third group, but people have been leaving. Some have been going to Ego and joining the Ghost team. Some have been going to Alter and joining the Shadow team. But what's for sure is that the agency is its own group. It seems like the agency now has a huge amount of influence over Ego and also possibly Alter. But yeah, I think just understanding that whole dynamic is really important. Shadow has been destroying like everything, so they're really powerful, and it's interesting to think about what they're after. What does Alter want? And that actually takes me to my number one spot. And that is basically that Midas's purpose is still unknown, which I think is really cool. So at the start of the season, we were led to believe that Midas is the good guy. Midas is your tier 100 skin, which usually is bad, but in the trailer, he's shown to be this leader of this sort of secret agent organization. But then we start to get more information about him, his trailer animation, and it's like, oh, he's killed a bunch of people. And then it's like, oh, he's working on this giant doomsday device. So this is kind of leading us to believe like, oh, maybe this guy actually isn't so good. But I still think it's very possible that this is all a fake out and Midas is actually a good guy. Again, the center island just has so much significance and it just keeps bringing me back to season 1 vibes. I think there is very well something very important located at the agency. And yeah, it would just be a very cool twist to see Midas actually being good, trying to defend something. Now, we don't know for sure and we're gonna find out very soon, but yeah, I think it's important to remember that we don't actually know Midas's motives yet. We don't know what he wants, we don't know what he's trying to get after, and really, we just don't know a whole lot about him. Now, hopefully all should be revealed soon, and shortly after the launch of Season 3, I will finally be coming at you guys with Part 2 of the entire storyline explained. That will give a very quick recap of Chapter 1, Season 1 through 9, and then I'll go from there to explain the entire end event, talk about the 7, and everything moving forward into Chapter 2. So we've got a lot of Fortnite content coming your guys' way over the next week or two, and honestly, I'm just really excited to finally cover some new stuff. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to check out the stream coming in at you. 1 Eastern is when we'll be starting. Anyways, thank you guys so much, and I'll talk to you later. Peace. Hey.